Hey guys, we are going to look at context clues again today. You guys did a great job yesterday with your context clues. We're going to go over those real quick. So, our context clues that we talked about yesterday were these words on the sheet. Your first one was I peered out the window to look at the rain. So, if you were trying to figure out what the word peered means, um, if you filled in the blanks with all of these choices, I laughed out the window to look at the rain. I looked out the window to look at the rain. I clapped out the window to look at the rain, or I studied out the window to look at the rain. Well, we know it's definitely not laughed or clapped. Neither one of those makes sense. But looked would make the most sense. I looked out the window to look at the rain. All right, for the second one, I looked up at the immense building. It had 50 floors. What does immense mean? Does it mean huge, seven, spotted, or fuzzy? So I looked up at the huge building. I looked up at the seven building. I looked up at the spotted building, or I looked up at the fuzzy building. We know seven and spotted doesn't really make sense, but it says it had 50 floors. So this would be your context clues to figure out that that would mean it is huge. All right, the next one is I learned the Eskimos dwell in igloos, which keeps them warm at night. The word dwell, does it mean do Eskimos fish in igloos to keep them warm at night? All right, here's your context clue keep them warm at night. Do they run in igloos to keep them warm at night? Do they hike in igloos to keep them warm at night? Or do they live in igloos to keep them warm at night? Well, it's definitely not fish or hike, and they're probably not running in the igloos to keep them warm. So it would be live. They live in igloos, which keep them warm at night. And the last one, my classmates looked absurd on Silly Hat Day. All right, my classmates look tired, my classmates look crazy, my classmates look smart, or my classmates look green. Well, they probably don't look green, and they may be smart, but Silly Hat Day would be your context clue. So smart doesn't really work, neither does tired. So it would have to be crazy. All right, now let's look at our story. Can a robot be a friend? Now, I'm going to read the story. And if you notice, we've talked before about bold words in nonfiction texts, one of our text features, um, which are usually new words, important words that you might need to check the definition for. Well, we're going to use context clues, and you guys are going to do an assignment today where you're going to um, try to figure out what these words mean on your own um, after we read the story. So I'm going to read the story to you. Can a robot be a friend? What if a robot acted like a friend? Would that be fun or feel strange? An inventor named Cynthia Breazeal wanted to find out. When Cynthia was a kid, she saw a movie that changed her life. It was a new movie called Star Wars. There was a cute robot in the movie called R2D2. Cynthia fell in love with R2D2. He was like a friend, she says, a friend who could help people and go on adventures with them. Could she make a robot like that? Cynthia wanted to try. She went to college to become an engineer. Engineers build machines that solve problems. After college, Cynthia went to learn from a professor who built robots. She helped him make a new kind of robot. The robot could move like an insect. They were hoping that it could help scientists explore a planet like Mars one day. The robot was cool, but it was not a friend. What should a robot friend look like? Cynthia wanted to make a robot that looked cute and lovable like R2D2. So a few years later, she started working on a new robot. She gave it big eyes like a baby. She gave it long eyelashes and bushy eyebrows. But she did not want to make the robot look exactly like a real person. So Cynthia's robot did not have a person's body, it was just a head. She gave it pink ears. Next, Cynthia thought about how her robot should move. If people talked in a friendly voice, the robot would move its head forward. If people sounded mad, the robot would pull back like it was scared. The robot would babble when things got quiet. To babble is to say things that make no sense. Babies babble. Cynthia gave the robot a name. She called it Kismet. It was time to test Kismet. Cynthia asked other people to help her. She told them speak to the robot. She wondered would they talk to Kismet like a friend? A volunteer sat down with Kismet. He pointed to the watch on his wrist. He said, "This is a watch that my girlfriend gave me." Kismet looked at the watch and babbled. Then he said, "I almost lost it this week." Kismet's eyes opened wide. The man told Cynthia that he felt like he was talking to a friend. Next, a person named Anne talked to Kismet. At first, Kismet was quiet. Then Anne put her face close to Kismet. She said, "Don't you like me?" Kismet moved closer to Anne, and then Kismet babbled sweetly. Anne laughed. She liked Kismet. Could Cynthia make robots that worked even better? She wanted to try. Now Cynthia was a professor herself. She helped build a robot called Leonardo. She wanted it to look more alive than Kismet. Leonardo had a head, arms, and a cute round belly. The robot had 32 motors in its face. The motors made Leonardo's face move like a real person. Leonardo seemed to understand what people said when a person held up a Cookie Monster doll and said, "Can you find Cookie Monster?" Leonardo pointed to it. Then the person said, "He wants to get your cookies." Leonardo threw out its arms to keep Cookie Monster away. It seems like Leonardo understood and did not want Cookie Monster to steal any cookies. Then Cynthia made a robot named Jibbo. Jibbo would be a family robot. Jibbo lived in people's homes. It even read stories to kids. Some people felt bad when they left for work. They didn't want Jibbo to be alone. A few families even gave Jibbo birthday parties. They treated Jibbo like a part of the family. Some people say friendly robots can be harmful. The robots could confuse us about what is real. These people say that kids shouldn't play with robots. They say kids should play with real people. But Cynthia thinks that robots can help us. She made a robot teddy bear called Huggable. It helps kids who are sick in the hospital. Huggable sings songs to these kids. It plays games with them. Doctors say that kids who play with Huggables feel better. This makes Cynthia happy. As a kid, she dreamed of making a friendly robot. She dreamed that her robot would be cute and helpful like R2D2 from Star Wars. She did it. She has made robots that people like to talk to. She has made robots that can help people. But can these robots be real friends? You can decide for yourself. Okay, so you notice we had several bold words in this story. We had adventures, engineer, professor, babble, and motors. So I want you to complete the word work assignment to see if you can figure out what these words mean using context clues in your text. You can go back and look at the story yourself. It begins on page 6 in your StoryWorks book. Um, and we will look at some more context clues tomorrow also.